from Lagos. We will be chatting about some of these, trying to explain. Is it explain now? Putting a sense. Okay, Paul is here, so I don't think we should just go on a break. Let's fire. Abi, let's fire down. Hello, Paul. How are you?
Very fine. Good morning.
Hello, Paul. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Are you there?
I can hear you clearly. Good morning.
Good morning. No. How are you?
Very fine.
Let's say it's still a good morning, because sometimes you really look at those things. In the last few days, I will not say that I'm depressed or I was depressed, but because of what is happening, definitely, not any other thing. Because when I see these numbers and what is happening right now, and perhaps the prospect of Nigeria right now is not looking good. And I think that our economic managers have come to that realization that we have tough times. But just like the Minister of Finance said just some hours ago at the Central Bank headquarters, that we should try as much as possible not to panic, not to put fear. The time is now for us to act. How encouraged are you as an economic analyst and as an economic watcher with these things that are happening? Are we prepared?
I am encouraged, and I hope that our economic policy makers, we have the will to fight. I'm happy with the statement coming from Minister of Finance to say we should not panic, even though all indicators shows that we should panic. Coronavirus, which people think is after people's health, for our organization, we believe is a vampire that is after economic vitality of different countries. When you look at the numbers, coronavirus itself is mortality rate is only 4%. Over 55% of those who were attacked by coronavirus survived it. We have 41% who also have active cases. So more people actually survive coronavirus. But what a lot of economists have not recovered from is economic downturn, which is affecting stocks, is affecting commodity, is affecting other products, is affecting oil. It's affecting so many countries in the world. So should we be afraid? Should we be concerned? I think that's the right question. I think we should be concerned. Central Bank, when you look at what Foreign Reserve is saying as we speak, about $35 billion, or a bit above $30 billion US dollars. And CBN governor had hinted some time ago when people asked him a question of devaluation. Will you be willing to devalue? I'm happy with his response by saying he will try everything possible not to devalue Naira, even though there was pressure. Recall that Mr. Emefiele was also put under pressure 2016, 2017 to devalue Naira, and Mr. Isaac Okorafor has spoken for CBN severally why CBN should not devalue. In fact, President Buhari had maintained the stand that he would not devalue. Unfortunately, we are having pressure from different headquarters today for devaluation again. And my fear is that if Nigeria devalue, it will not just be poverty and penury that we experienced just after recession. What we will experience will even be more, because when you look at the numbers. So we have a lot of things to be worried about, but I believe that economic policy makers will do more. Oil production, based on 2020 budget, shows that Nigeria will do 2.18 billion barrels per day. Average of what we have done in the still in this quarter is far lower. Is lower than that. We've not been able to do on the average 1.9. Global oil prices, the highest in the last 1 month was 28th, when it was $60.64. As we speak now, a live report on Brent crude Bonnie Lights that I have live report is showing $36.74. Live report of international price. Brent crude is doing $36.90 live report, and CBN also put on its website about $37 live report from CBN. So if you look at all of these, CBN governor is saying if it goes significantly low, as we speak, is significantly low. If it's below 30 billion US dollars, we are still above $30 billion, even though that is very low because of integrity, because of interest of the country. Nigeria is in the middle of borrowing more. MTF report 2019 shows that 2018 Appropriation Act, Nigeria had spent 55 to 65% of that revenue generated to service debt. We are the virtue of we just got approval for further borrowing, wondering where the repayment or service will come from. And it may not totally be fault of government. Maybe over the years, Nigeria have not created alternative, even till now, to revenue generation for country and also financing our economy. It's a big issue. and it's a big story. I hope that in the coming period, Nigeria will find some level of solution to all of this.
You know what, Paul, for me, just like you said, we should be concerned. It's a big issue. We've been concerned since, at least I've been concerned since I've been doing this show, since I've been on the business beat for years now. We've been saying the same thing. I listened to Aliko Dangote this morning, just a few hours ago, because like I said earlier, I had to run from the meeting, the consultative roundtable, which is ongoing, to come do this show. And Aliko said something. Since I came to Lagos in 1979, I've been hearing of the diversification. It hasn't happened. And he said something which was very instructive. He said, if you take a look at customs, Nigerian Customs Service, they generated, I think, 1.35 trillion naira or so. And Aliko Dangote said something. He said, generated from what? From imports. Customs should not be a revenue generating agency. They are a trade facilitator. So if things are really working well, what it means is that if we are producing here, we are producing a lot of things, there will be a lot more money for the government, just like what you have said. So what are they really quick wins for us, even as we are presented with a tough time? I think Babatunde Fashola said something this morning which was also very instructive. He did say, because when we went into the CBN headquarters, we were given, in fact, all our temperatures were being checked with a thermometer. And we were, asked to clean our hands with sanitizers and all of that. But when he was finishing with his own speech, he did say something. He said that we are doing things wrongly. Coronavirus is a viral infection. The hand sanitizers are antibacterial. So would you say antibacterial to kill viral diseases? And from my little knowledge of science, because I'm science-based, I graduated with a science course, so I understand what he's saying. Would you use bacteria to fight virus? They are not, they are different things. So I think NCDC has to answer that. I'll reach out to them to answer that. But he did also say the other thing, that if you take a look at the hand sanitizers we're using right now, which a lot of stores and supermarkets hike the prices, most of those hand sanitizers are from China. Is it that we cannot produce hand sanitizers here? So that is a quick win. I hope you understand where I'm taking this conversation to. Yes. So are there quick wins? If you take a look at it now, the hand sanitizer is China, made in China. And he did say, so what are we doing with our gogoro? We have a gogoro or alcohol here. What are we doing? Is that not a vista or an open opportunity for us to take note of? But I also said it back to him, there is a policy maker, so who is he telling? They should tell themselves. Yes.
Thank you so very much. I have before me two reports which may help us look at this quarterly export comparison for 2019, first quarter to the last quarter. First quarter to the last quarter, yes, and import. When you look at it, I don't know if what some of your colleagues have that they could project for Nigerians to see. What Nigeria exported the most was crude oil. Over 80 to 90% of total export was crude oil. And as I talk to you, government put a lot of effort on agriculture. Agriculture did less than 5% or less than 10% to be charitable. 10% was what agriculture did. So, but when you look at import is very representative. In fact, from import, manufactured goods took so much. When nobody, all the crude oil we've loaded, expecting countries and organizations to buy from us, one thing is certain, somebody will import school uniform today. Somebody will import lipstick. Somebody will import a Brazilian air. Somebody will import telephone. We want to use mobile. We want to use all these things. So more and more people will import it. I think before we make policy, we should ask this question. What is our marginal propensity to import? Propensity in the scheme of things. Where every 1 naira we have, we spend them in 4 ways. First, marginal propensity to consume on local product. Marginal propensity to save. Marginal rate of taxation. And lastly, marginal propensity to import, which is the real conversation. Now, sanitizers, from sanitizers to even the machine, the device we use to check temperature, is not also made in Nigeria. So where is the money? Let me say this to us. 1 barrel of crude oil today is about let's be charitable, $37. How much is an Oppo phone? How much is Techno phone? How much is all these brand phones? If you convert them to dollar, it is ×4 or ×5 of what we sell crude oil. So which means 4 barrels or 10 barrels of crude oil is 1 phone that we hold in our hands. Now, if you take all the crude oil we produce, compare with only phone, we see that companies that produce phones, they are even making more money. Even with coronavirus, it does not mean we will not buy phones. So it's not going to affect us. So diversification is not going to come from agriculture. No countries that looks like where we want to spend our holidays, or countries we want to research, or something we want to do things with, are using our strategy and method. Unfortunately, this strategy have not changed over the years. It has not changed over administration. The lies African was told that we are the food production basket of the world, like we are telling Benue, food basket of Nigeria. The lies still continue to spread. Work is not on the farm with hoes and cutlass. At best, if you look at value chain of agriculture, we are going to generate some money or some jobs, but those jobs are not sustainable. What is sustainable is conversion. China has huge land. Why can't China say they want to feed the rest of the world? This is the sense Nigeria should have. China has more population, it has more land than Nigeria, but China understood the fact that the person that produces for the world will certainly be the king of the world. United States was in that position at a time. United Kingdom was in that position at a time. China is in the position today. Nigeria must smell the coffee and decide to go beyond agriculture and say that if we start manufacturing, and even if we want to focus on things we could produce on farms, naturally, some people will farm more and they will want it to be input for manufacturing sector. No country go with primary, 3 levels of production, primary, secondary, and tertiary. Nigeria prefer to say with primary. Crude oil is primary. In economics, it is called land. Even our oil, air we breathe is called land. So Nigeria prefer to stay with primary without graduating a step forward to secondary. That graduation will come with a lot of sincerity from government and citizens. That will come with a lot of reduction in corruption. That will come with a lot of changing the way we do things today. It will not favor tribalism or religious sentiment. That change will come when we understand that what matters first is our economy. And I say economy because coronavirus is here, while we are trying to block all loopholes in Lagos and in Ogun State and in other international airports. The truth is that even though it does not affect us, it will still affect crude oil prices because it's an external shock. And when external shock comes on an economy that is monocultural, that is monoproductive, that depends large percentage of its income on a commodity it does not have control over, I'm afraid we will have this kind of situation. So it's not gloomy picture particularly. I only hope that policymaker will decide today and do the needful. There are so many other things we can do. America has been faced with this kind of challenge before during the Great Depression. The solution did not come from borrowing by Americans. The solution did not also come from America devaluing currency. What America did was to look to those who are well-to-do in the system, in the economy, even with the Great Depression America was faced with, and spoke with them to bail them out in from some economic challenges and economic issues. And my advice to government today will be those who are well-to-do, their names are on Forbes. Their names may not be on Forbes, but the billionaires, not even in dollar, in naira, how can they help? There is a road being constructed in Lagos-Apapa Expressway now. For me, I've not seen that type of road in recent time and around this part of the world. It's like you are constructing decking. That's how to depict it. Now, the African richest man knows that his truck, he has a large number of trucks, and they're going to use that road. How will it be that the road he constructed, his truck destroyed it? So he's giving us the very best in terms of quality. There are more people like that in Nigeria who can support government with capital component, because review of 2020 budget will mean capital expenditure will certainly suffer. There will be setback from capital expenditure. Government has to pay salary, they have approved minimum wage, state has to spend, but where will all of these money come? Time for us to look inward and talk to those who are well-to-do among us.
Paul, I really don't even know where to go from here again, because it seems, as you say, you are opening up cans of worms, or you are, opening up another layer. You've just said it. There's a consultative roundtable going on right now. Aliko Dangote is there. Some of the richest men in Nigeria are in that roundtable. They are currently there right now. And you did actually also mention that we should not attach so much attention to agriculture as we are putting it right now, isn't it? Just like we should take a look at, seemingly, Aliko Dangote also said something this morning, which is, okay, we should look towards agriculture and manufacturing. I also disagree with him in terms of that agriculture which you've which you've mentioned, because China is doing it. China is the manufacturing hub of the world. We just talked about, what's it called? Hand sanitizer. It would also interest you to note that as China's economy is on a lockdown, all the sanitizers they've made for the whole world is selling. There's a hand sanitizer right now at the reception of AIT here. When I was coming in, I had to take a look at that sanitizer to even see where it was produced. It was produced in China. So what are we talking about? Even when the coronavirus is happening, China is also making money because the rest of the world is consuming what they have made. So Paul, just conclude it for me, because I just have a few seconds with you. I really don't even know what to say, because there are a lot of issues to take a look at, but we'll continue in days to come. So what's your concluding remark?
My concluding remark is those who are not prepared for change will come and sweep them off their foot. That is what is happening to many African countries. Now, it's not just Nigeria that is entangled in all of these. Countries with other commodities, which include gold and diamond, demand for them is also being affected to some extent, because when one of the biggest airlines in the world is saying they are cutting flights, you know what that means. Business transaction, the billionaires and millionaires in US dollars in the world today, they don't go on keke, they don't go on keke napep, they don't go on bicycle, they don't go on cars. No matter, they fly from one point to the other. Now, if biggest airlines are saying they are not continuing, what it means is that countries that are not prepared for this change eventually may be affected. So bottom line, after all, coronavirus is not just an air challenge, it is that vampire that sucks economic vitality out of country.
Yeah. You know, it just reminded me of The Economist. Is it The Economist? The Economist magazine, the front page, which Jimovi also said. So I say, okay, so these people are watching. If you look at the front page of The Economist magazine, you see the map of the world there, then the coronavirus. And I think The Economist magazine did say the world's medicine also. I think so. The world's medicine is coronavirus. So you can imagine what a paradox is. That is a wake-up call, guys. It's a wake-up call. So, and the wake-up call is now. If we've not been listening to ourselves before, we should. And in the midst of all of that, we should also address the security concerns in the country. Final question before you go. Are you confident in this team, this crop of policymakers and everyone, that they will take us out of this quagmire? Are you confident that are you confident?
I'm confident in Nigerians. I'm confident in the team. I'm confident in everybody. Now, where I may have issue is when opportunities to come out of economic quagmire and to revive Nigeria come, those who are politicians that are supposed to implement, my fear is, will they listen? If they listen, good news for us. And will this team give us a better option? This time, we should not devalue currency, because the last time we did in 2017, 8 trillion naira was added to our foreign debt for committing no offense, but we committed economic sins. Unfortunately, economic sin has no forgiveness. We have to pay for it. I hope that the solution this team will prefer to Mr. President and the presidency will be such that we will not devalue our currency and do not be further borrowing, but looking inward to provide alternative solutions, one of which I've mentioned, and there are many more. I hope government listens, and those that are concerned, we adopt the right approach to bring Nigeria out of this economic mess.
Thank you very much, Paul, for joining me again today. Let's continue to watch the scenarios, the different scenarios, the coronavirus scenario. Border closure is on one part too. You understand? All prices on one part. So it's like we are just being hit. Not Anthony Joshua now. Who is that now that beats this guy? Is it Tyson Fury or what's his name? He's hitting us from left, yes, left, right, and center. And we will soon pass out if we don't really take glucose to get back again. So thank you very much, Paul. Yes, I have to simplify so that people will understand what we are saying. Thank you very much, Paul, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Let's quickly take this. You know, it's another Wednesday, another CBN Weekly segment. Last week we brought you the first series on the CBN intervention. Today I think we're concluding it. The agriculture intervention in 2019 as put together by the Central Bank of Nigeria. I think that's the much you can take. After the, after this, you won't get to see me again till tomorrow. God willing, let's try as much as possible to take the actions we need to take right now so that we don't get beaten bass bows. My director told me that in my ears. We're just beating basbos so that we don't fall down. But let's take the necessary actions. And I hope that this consultative roundtable going on right now at the Central Bank of Nigeria will come up with solutions, workable solutions that can get our economy out. And that committee that the president has put together should also work. I'm being told that there's going to be a dinner later today with the president. A report will be presented to him. We'll see at the end of the day what comes out of all of that. I am Nnaji on behalf of my team and I'll see you all tomorrow. Be the best you can be, but the change you want to see. Bye now.